whoo, I'm going below the belt even for myself. I am gonna get into so much trouble with so many of you. And I know when I say this, it's gonna, some of you just really take it to heart. Do not take this to heart, okay? Just ignore this if you don't agree with it, and that is completely fine. But something that I do not decorate with anymore. Well, hello, welcome back to the House of Valentina. I'm Valentina, and today we have a really fun video. I'm gonna be sharing things that I don't decorate with anymore. We've talked a lot on this channel about design mistakes, things that we see other people doing, but today I'm gonna give myself a hard time. Actually, what I really wanted to do was to share about my own journey in discovering my own style, things that I don't decorate with anymore, and share why. Sure, I'm gonna give myself a hard time over a few of these. Like some of them I'm like, why did I ever do that? Let's talk about why and what I do instead. I thought it'd be really fun to share those things because to me, decorating your home and creating a home for yourself and for your family, it's a journey. It's not a destination, and it's always changing, and you are evolving as a human, and your home evolves around you. And so I think that the entire thing, well, you can let me know in the comments. I geek out over it. I love the whole process. I love the way in which we are always becoming new, and our home, we just want something fresh and different, and how certain things don't suit us anymore, and how I handle those things. So I hope you're gonna love today's video, that it's gonna really get you super inspired and super pumped about creating a home that you really love to live in. So I hope you'll hit subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up if you're like me and you are willing to say, I'm on a journey. Tomorrow is a new day, and sometimes my house just has to change around me. All right, let's jump into today's video. All right, so what are some things that I do not decorate with anymore? Let's be honest, I am not the same person that I was when I was 19 years old, moving out of my parents' house. I got married when I was 19. So yeah, I know, I'm still married to the same guy. I know, it's kind of crazy, but it's been 24 years since I moved out from my parents' house, and I went directly from my parents' house to our first apartment. So I didn't do the dorm thing. I didn't do a lot of the college stuff. I just went directly into my very first home. And a lot of what I did back then is not what I'm doing now. I've had a lot of different places. We've lived in four countries, 3 continents. It has been a wild journey. I'll leave the backstory video linked up for you down below, because a lot of people, when they hear that we've lived in multiple countries, think that we were spies, and we just aren't that cool. I would love if that was some great backstory like that. Sorry, I know this is way more disappointing, but I do have it videoed, and you can check that video out if you've missed it in the past. But when we had to sell everything we owned several times, I used those opportunities to catapult myself every time into a different style. All that to preface the fact that I'm gonna say one of the things that I do not decorate with at all anymore, like literally don't have any of it, is the color red. I don't have any red in my house. I just don't. I don't have red roses. I don't have red tulips. I don't have paintings with red on them. For a while, I had a red sofa, which I loved. And then I passed forward to my mom when we moved out of the country, and mom loved that red sofa. That red sofa was so comfortable. We got it from American Signature Home. It was made with this gorgeous down, very much in that Pottery Barn, kind of like late 90s, early 2000s style. We loved it. But I found that the red for me was just too stark, and I really like living in neutrals. I'm not in this because I feel like I am missing out on something. It's not because I don't like color, because I do. My kids wear color all the time, and I don't know. For me, the color red was just too jazzy. For my home. I like to keep the house a little bit more low key. For me, this palette feels a little bit more sophisticated. And when I found myself selling off a lot of things and then having to repurchase and it was really expensive, I figured out that if I decorated in a really neutral pattern, styles could come and go, and I would have a lot easier time being able to blend different styles, different locations, different items, that I could put all those together into the same home. And it was a lot easier when everything was in a neutral palette. And there wasn't like one red item that stuck out. I like the number 2 is another color. So let's just say that too, because all of these are for the same reason. I used to decorate a lot with turquoise. I did red and turquoise, that color palette, for a really long time. I liked that sort of sweetness of red and turquoise. It was cute and fun, and I liked that for a really long time. And then I just found for myself that I started to crave something that was a little bit more calm, that wasn't quite so jazzed up. And that's just why, for me, I've ended up in this color palette. So I don't really decorate very much anymore with mid-century. I feel really bad about that, because when we were in Denmark, that's really like Scandinavia is where that mid-century furniture really originates from. And it was like piled up like trash in junk piles and like the flea markets and things. It was everywhere. And so for a while I tried to include some of it because first of all, it was so affordable to get it. Second of all, because it felt so in tune to where we were. But for me, I don't know what it is. I just don't like the turned legs on sofas, and I just don't like the look. I just don't love it. I prefer to have usually like a clean line on most things. I like things that are really kind of delicate and slim. I wear stiletto heels, and my chairs kind of reflect that style. And this is just part of, again, my own journey. I took a lot of those pieces. A lot of them would come in like these walnut colors. I just have never been a big fan of that color in my own home. I don't hate it. I just never enjoy it that much. So I took some of those pieces, I tried painting them. Jack still has a piece in his office area that he really enjoys. He really likes mid-century design. It's not that we had to kick it to the curb necessarily, but for me, I didn't put too much of it ever in the house, but what I did, I've gotten rid of most of it. Your style should be what you really love, and then you find ways of being able to create it, even if you're working on a tight budget. I don't do sports themes anymore. I don't do themes anymore. I used to do themed rooms. I know that's gonna come as a shock to a lot of you, but when we were first getting started, that's how everybody around us was decorating. It's what we saw in magazines, it's what we saw family, friends, and neighbors doing, and it's what was in the stores around us, and we just thought it was fun. We just thought it was a lot of fun. We've had garden themed rooms. We've had an American flag room when our son was really little. We've had car themes. We've had lots of themes. But I found that the kids would run out of joy for that theme. So it always felt a little time-stamped because I knew that it was not going to last. And so I really, especially as we started to sell things off, and it was so expensive to try to restart our home. It was so expensive that I was really thinking, I need to step back from these themed items that they're gonna outgrow after 6 months to a year. At the most, I could get maybe 3 years out of these. I started to decorate with things that were more lasting, more timeless. I would give my kids boxes and decor in their rooms like I would in the main part of the house. I would go for furniture pieces that weren't themed. I didn't paint the wall. I did this a few times where I painted the wall with flowers or painted it with little car motifs and things. And then it was like, okay, we're ready for something new. It's like, okay, that's a lot of effort. It's gonna be a lot of money again. Why don't I instead maybe I'll use maybe some poster art for them, put it in some nice big matting, and then a poster's really easy to change out of a frame. I found that instead of using sports items like baseballs and footballs, I would just give them maybe a nice vase in the room, and they could add in, like the youngest right now up in his room, he has some Legos sitting out, and that sits with the decor, and I find that's just an easier way for me of dealing with it. And the curtains aren't themed. I go with something really neutral, bedding's really neutral, and then they can add their stuffed animals and something to that if they want. But the room itself is very neutral, And then that way it's a little bit more, it's more long lasting that way. Another thing that I don't decorate with anymore, and it's not that I don't like it, it just never seems right. And that is brown leather. I get a little bit frustrated with this one with myself because I had bought some really nice Pottery Barn swivel chairs that I really love. They're really beautiful, came in a really nice rich color. I loved them. It just never seems to quite fit in my house. And I think that's part of what you have to do is you have to really look at something that you look at and you really like, but just doesn't work necessarily in your own home. So those chairs just always felt a little bit too red. A lot of times my clients will ask me for like a brown leather chair. I know a lot of people love brown leather chairs. Just for me, it's not something that I'm drawn to. And I'm willing to definitely explore it again and bring some brown in, but I would have to change a lot in my house to start bringing brown in. If you're gonna have brown leather in your house, you need brown accents. You need some brown reflected back like in the pillows and the accessories and the books. Like it's a color, it's an introduction of a color. And a lot of times I think people don't realize that brown is actually a color and it needs to be reflected beyond just the brown reclining chair or the swivel chairs, right? And for me, it was too big of an obligation. Ooh, I'm going below the belt even for myself. This was a hard one. This was a hard one for me. I'm trying not to mess this mic up. I really loved stripe rugs. I loved chevron rugs. I loved graphic patterns. I went through a really long phase of that, especially in black, but I even tried it in like beige tones as well. But I have found that I miss a sort of elegance in those pieces. They're bold, they're a pop, they are snazzy and jazzy, and they give you just this bold little infusion of pattern and color, and it's jolting. I have found for myself that I don't lean into those patterns really hardly at all anymore. Instead, I find myself avoiding them because I just feel like it's too much. It's almost distracting. I prefer for the whole room to kind of feel a little bit more calming. I prefer for the space to feel I don't want such a high contrast. I want it to feel a little bit more calm. I see that, the same word. I can't use the same word twice. I'm like, what is it? What is it that I love about it that's just different now? What is it? It's that I just think it's a little bit more sophisticated. Those patterns can just feel sometimes they can feel a little bit childish. It's not that you can't make them look sophisticated and elegant. It's just that typically they're just a little bit more youthful. That's a good word. They're a little bit more youthful. And for me, I just want something that just feels a little bit more elevated. And so instead, the rugs that I'm going for, like the one in this room, it does have it's got a light pattern in it. I like the zebra rug still. That's got a really bold pattern. That's a really bold pattern. Zebra, I guess zebra can still stay. You have to have these things in your life, right? They help you to process why you've outgrown something. Maybe you used it a lot. I used striped rugs a lot, and then I just kind of got to where I was kind of tired of them, and I wanted something new and fresh. So that might just be why you tire of something. It doesn't mean that you have to get rid of it. For me, I used those striped rugs actually down in our basement. Jack still loves this striped rug, and I got it for him downstairs in his little office area. But you know that you can also pass rugs forward to other people, donate them to your thrift store, put them on Facebook Marketplace, and then go shopping on somewhere like Amazon. That's where almost all of my rugs are from. I'm not worried about them. I don't worry about them getting dirty. I've got my little steam cleaner that I use on them. I wanted something that had more of a silky feel, especially for this room. And then I use a lot of natural fiber rugs, like the one I have in the bedroom, or like I'll use a shag. So typically I'm going for something that's a little bit more solid. I do still think that Persian rugs are gorgeous, right? Like there's other options. And for me, I just prefer a little bit more of a neutral rug. I am gonna get into so much trouble with so many of you. And I know when I say this, some of you just really take it to heart. Do not take this to heart, okay? Just don't. Just ignore this if you don't agree with it, and that is completely fine. But something that I do not decorate with anymore are family photos. I know, I just said it, but it's true. I don't use family photos as decor. When we got overseas, developing photos was really expensive and it was cost prohibitive. It really was. It was really expensive. We would save our film to when a family member would come and we'd send it home with them in their carry-on luggage and have them develop it in the US. Like, it was outrageously expensive. At least for the budget that we were on, we couldn't afford to have the film developed. Having photos developed, that was a gift. It was a gift. And it was something that we'd give like at the birthdays and at Christmas, and we were gifting large photos to be framed on the walls. Like, it was expensive. I think it's so much cheaper now with like Snapfish, and you can go to Walgreens and lots of different places. But for me, I got to where instead I was putting up more neutral art. And it was funny because a lot of our friends would say, what is it with Americans and using their photos to decorate their house with? And I was like, until you said that, I didn't know that other people didn't do that. I didn't know that was an American thing. But we just don't display our family photos anymore as art. Instead, I prefer to just have some really neutral artwork. I don't know. I really can't explain it. I just can't explain that one. I don't know. I don't know. Oh God, one time I was in, we rented an apartment at one point. I will not name which one it is. I don't think the person will watch our channel, but just in case. And the landlord had a huge life-size nude of themselves on the wall. And it was just like, it was so personal. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It was just so personal that it was off-putting. I don't know. Oh my God, I'm gonna get myself in so much trouble with this video. I was just trying to share my journey, okay? I was just trying to share my journey and I cannot explain this. Let's move on to the last one. One of the things that I do not do anymore, and I did for sure, and I just don't do it anymore. And I really don't like, it's because I don't like doing it. I don't like the look of it. And it is hanging like blankets and quilts on the wall. I grew up in the South, right? I'm a Southern girl, born and raised in the South, Texas, Virginia, and Georgia. This is where I've spent all my life until I moved overseas. And now we're back home. We have a lot of quilts down here in the South, and I think they're beautiful. And I used to hang them on the wall as decor. I just don't do it anymore. As it's probably not gonna come as a surprise to you that my style has evolved over time. I'm going for something that's a little bit more of a sophisticated look rather than something that's really comfy and cozy. It's just a different kind of look. There's nothing wrong with either one of those styles. Before you write me any more hate comments, let me just say that. There's nothing wrong with having one style or another. It's all about you finding style that you really love. And for me, I don't have those kinds of things like that's nostalgic items like baby blankets or quilts. I don't enjoy them being on the wall. I don't use tapestries either. There's a lot of things that would be a sophisticated version of hanging up a baby blanket on the wall. I just don't like those things. It feels a little bit too, maybe just a little bit too bohemian, a little too, oh God, I'm gonna really get myself into trouble. Homey, yeah. It's a little too cozy for me. I just like having abstract artwork. This is what I like. I love landscapes. I love black and white photography. I think that when I was working on a no budget, I got to where I'd rather have nothing on the walls than to have a blanket hanging on it. So for me, you can do any style on a budget, right? If you're wanting to do something that's super elaborate, it might take you a long time. And if you're working towards a super maximal style, that might evolve over time. But either way, your style should not be dictated by your budget. I think you have to really explore the things that you find yourself saying, I no longer want to put that on the wall. I haven't even really thought through why. But instead, this is what I really want on my walls. I like this style. I like this modern luxury style. The blankets on the wall won't help me achieve that look. Having a lot of red and turquoise in here and brown leather does not help me to achieve a monochromatic, calm, modern luxe kind of look. This is what I like. This is who I am. and this is who I'm becoming. And I don't know what I'm gonna want 5, 10, 20 years from now. It might be something completely different. So that's the fun of it, is that you can pass your things forward, you can bless somebody else's life with those things. I mean, it doesn't have to just, all be, some people just have a really hard time letting go of things, and these videos are very upsetting for those people. And if you're one of them, I'm not trying to convince you to get rid of your stuff. I'm just trying to help you. What happens is I go to people's homes a lot of times, and we're having talks about what they want. They want a home that looks like mine, but then they say, but I want to put this blanket on the wall, but I want to put these photos over the fireplace. It's like, well, it's not going to look like mine. And are you okay with that? Right? Like, you have to decide what you really want. What's the home you want to be living in, and go for it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it's left you feeling super inspired to really identify the things that you really love. Think about things that you've passed forward that no longer are in your home, things that you don't find yourself decorating with anymore. Whether you decide to get rid of them or store them, that's totally up to you. But I hope you enjoy the journey, because it is supposed to be a lot of fun to decorate your house. And for someone like me, I just love it. I love the exploration of something new, discovering something new, switching that and trying it, and being open to discovering something that I like even better than what I already have. And I just find it to be a lot of fun, and I hope you do as well. If you're one of these people and you just love design the way that we do, we have a whole community. There's about 350,000 of us that come here every week because we love this. And I hope that you'll hit subscribe, become a part of this community. It's just amazing. Yes, let me know in the comments what are the things that you no longer decorate? What are the things that you've passed forward? How have you evolved? And how does your style, how has it changed over the years? Let me know down in the comments. I cannot wait to hear. Cheers, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.